President Trump is wrapping up his multi-day trip to Scotland by mixing personal and official business. Today, he cut the ribbon on his newest golf course near Aberdeen. Now, the president also turned his attention to the war in Ukraine and the dire humanitarian crisis in Gaza. CBS News White House reporter Aaron Navarro is in Scotland for the president's visit. Aaron, thank you for joining us today. First, on the Middle East, what did the president have to say today about that?
Yeah, Mugo, good to be with you. We saw the latest sound from President Trump after he hit the first ceremonial tee at his new golf course, where he was asked by a reporter who shouted what he would say next to Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. President Trump replied that the two would, quote, be working together to get things straightened out. Throughout this trip, we also saw President Trump begin to show a bit more public sympathy for the Palestinians starving in Gaza. He said that the U.S. would do more to alleviate the situation, said that they would work with the United Kingdom to set up food centers to help get aid and food into Gaza, noted that there would not be barriers to get this aid. But at the same time, he has repeated his claim that the money and the food already sent by the U.S. to Gaza has been taken by Hamas.
Okay, Aaron, let's talk about Ukraine, because the president slashed a deadline, he said, for President Vladimir Putin to come to a peace deal. So what's been the reaction from Russia?
Yeah, in a post from former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev, he says, quote, each new ultimatum is a threat and a step towards war, not between Russia and Ukraine, but potentially with Russia and the U.S. So pretty inflammatory there. But we're hearing other things a bit more measured from the Kremlin today. They said that they, quote, took note of President Trump shortening that timeline, but said that they will continue their military operation. They add that Russia remains committed to a peace process that, quote, takes account of its own interests. And they acknowledge that while there's been a slowdown in repairing the U.S.-Russia relationship, they declined to comment on Trump saying that he is, quote, no longer interested in talks with Putin.
All right, let's jump to the Epstein controversy, because it just seems to not be going away at all, not even during the president's trip. So what did he have to say about his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein?
Yeah, the president was asked multiple times about Jeffrey Epstein, and the only kind of new bit that we heard is him giving a reason for the falling out between the two men in the early 2000s, a reason for why he kicked Jeffrey Epstein out of his Mar-a-Lago club in South Florida, and President Trump said it was because Epstein poached employees from him. Take a listen to President Trump here.
For years, I wouldn't talk to Jeffrey Epstein. I wouldn't talk because he did something that was inappropriate. He hired help. And I said, don't ever do that again. He stole people that work for me. I said, don't ever do that again. He did it again. And I threw him out of the place, persona non grata.
Now, this adds to another reason we heard from the White House last week, where they said Epstein was kicked out for, quote, being a creep. We also know that the two men had a dispute over a piece of real estate in southern Florida. So the White House is now giving multiple reasons for the fallout between the two as they look to get past the story, but they're still closely watching as there are more press reports kind of really looking into the relationship between the two men in the 1990s and 2000s.
Yeah. Aaron Navarro in Scotland for us today. Thank you.